welcome here to TalkFCB and welcome back to the channel, guys, where the TalkFCB podcast has arrived on the main channel here. I've decided today to do something a little bit different in the build-up to Barca's trip to Mallorca on Tuesday, because honestly today I didn't have a great deal of time. I wouldn't have really had time for the full edited match preview video, so today, instead of missing it completely, let's cut out the editing. Let's do it podcast style here, and maybe in the process have some even more in-depth discussion about what is going on at Barca right now. What are our problems? What are we facing? And I'm going to be answering some of your questions, and there were some very, very good ones here over on my community section, and today we're going to be talking about everything to come in Tuesday's game, including the lineup, including what we should see out there from Hansi Flick's team, and of course, the big match predictions, guys. It is all on the way. I hope that you're still going to enjoy it, and I thank you indeed for the great support. Let's do this. Because indeed, guys, if we do indeed begin by talking about the La Liga table. Now, I don't really want to do this because a few games ago, this was amazing. This was absolutely fantastic to talk about. But now, it kind of makes me want to cry because Barca's lead at the top, quite frankly, it has evaporated. Real Madrid right now are just one single point behind us, and they have a game in hand. So they have every possibility here to leapfrog us at the top of the league. And that, quite frankly, is absolutely unbelievable. Given the way the season has gone, given the way the two teams really have played for the majority of it, the way we've let this slip over such a short space of time, it's really, really disappointing. And of course, on the weekend, on Sunday there, Real Madrid were comfortable winners against Getafe. I absolutely knew they'd get a penalty. I mean, I should have put money on it. Why didn't I do that there? Because, of course, they won comfortably in the end, but they opened up the scoring with a classic Real Madrid penalty kick there, dispatched this time by Jude Bellingham. Mbappe nowhere near that one. But Real Madrid do face a tricky test in midweek here against Athletic Club. That's going to be interesting. Away at Athletic, that is never ever an easy game, and especially this season, Athletic Club right now are in very, very good form, so let's hope they can give them a bit of a game. However, guys, speaking there about penalties, and well, penalties that we simply didn't get ourselves on the weekend, but we won't go any more into that before I start swearing again. But anyway, the referee for this week's game against Mallorca, it is none other than Gil Manzano. Now, when I read that this morning, what an absolute disaster. Because just when you think you're at rock bottom, La Liga give you one extra kick in the teeth. Not only was the weekend's game bad enough, now we've got to deal with Gil Manzano. What an absolute nightmare. We are going to have to be good. We really are. We're not going to be able to rely on the referee. We're not going to be in a position to expect anything to be given to us at all in that game. So believe me, we have to bring our best level on Tuesday. Make no mistake. Because also, guys, let me just say, Mallorca are good. Mallorca are a very, very good team here. They're 6th in La Liga this season. They're only 2 points away from the top 4. They're having an absolutely outstanding campaign. And I tell you what, this trip here, it reminds me very, very much so of when we went to Osasuna. This is a very, very similar game, similar atmosphere, similar feeling here. It reminds me of that game when, of course, we went there and Osasuna absolutely destroyed us, and it was a really poor game. We heavily rotated, don't forget, and I think certainly in this game, Flick is not going to do that again. You know, Flick will have very much learned lessons from that trip to Osasuna and several other games in La Liga here, where, like I keep saying, he is new to the league. He is still adjusting to the teams that he's facing, the challenges that he's facing, because maybe some games you thought, okay, that's going to be an easy one. You know, at the weekend against Las Palmas, maybe we thought, okay, we're going to steamroller them. They're near the relegation zone. It's not really going to be too much of a tough test. No game is really easy. A lot of people don't say that about La Liga. In the Premier League, you hear it all the time. Oh, there's no easy games. Every team's going to give you a challenge. Everybody can beat everybody. But in La Liga these days, it's a lot tighter as well. Even the teams there in the bottom half of the table, even the teams that are around the relegation zone, they can hurt you. On any given day, they can cause you a really significant challenge. And also, guys, right now, looking at the fixture list for us, this is a big period, because right now this kicks off 3 successive away matches. We have Mallorca away, followed up by Betis away. Now that's another really tricky game in La Liga, going away to the Benito Villamarín, incredibly atmospheric. That's going to be a really tricky test. And then Borussia Dortmund in the Champions League. Now, that's another place. You think of the atmosphere there at Dortmund. That is going to be an incredible game too. So 3 tough away games, and there's no time. There is absolutely no time here to sit around feeling sorry for ourselves right now. No good sitting around thinking, oh, well, we're not doing well, we're in a bit of a slump, things aren't going our way. You've got 3 massive games to come. And in some ways, guys, could I just say here, that reminds me a little bit of when we had that run of games earlier on in the season, when we had Sevilla, then we had Bayern, then we had Real Madrid. Those on paper were very, very tricky games, all in succession, and we absolutely smashed it. We really did take on those games. We took the games to all of those opponents, and we came out on top. And why can't we do the same again now? Why can't we look at this as a real opportunity to bounce back, to show our true selves again? That's what we have to do. The players have got to get themselves ready. They shouldn't need motivating for games like these. These are clear challenges for us to go and attack. So come on and do it. But of course, guys, right now it is absolutely no secret that, we're not playing well. Things are not really going as they were. Confidence is not as high, not with the players, not with the coaching staff, and certainly here, not with us fans. And a lot of people have been pointing out here, and this is when we start on your questions coming in, and there were a lot of questions on this point right here, that after 15 La Liga games so far this season, Barca have exactly the same number of points as they had at this point last season, under Xavi there. And lots of people have said, well, Xavi at the end of that season got the sack. So how do you feel about Barca having the same amount of points this time around? And I think this is very, very interesting, because on the face of it there, it's very easy for the media, for headlines to say, oh, look, Barca now, they're the same as they were last season. It's quite obvious. Same points, same team. But it's clearly not like that. It's clearly not that clear-cut and straightforward. Football is very, very complex here. Because let me just say as well, at the start of last season, we were okay. In terms of results-wise there, we got a few decent results. We actually started the season quite well. It really started to fall apart when we moved into December, then January. And then, of course, the second half of the season, where things really just started to unravel. But it's not even about results for me here. I think that's the most important thing to say. Just because we have the same points as last season, are we the same team? Because you look at the way that we played in terms of performances, and in terms as well, you've got to admit, in big game performances. The win against Bayern, the win against Real Madrid, they can't be forgotten there. What we achieved, what we were able to show in such a big game. And I think also the Champions League is important. The form that we've shown so far in the Champions League, the way again that we've been dominant in all but one of those matches, that is impressive, and that will go a long way. But it's early days. At the end of the day, no conclusions can be made here. Just because we beat Bayern, just because we beat Real Madrid, doesn't mean our season is guaranteed to go somewhere. We have to follow it up. But I think the start here under Hansi Flick, it's been positive. We have seen enough signs that something could be to come. We have seen signs there of the potential of this team, about real changes, about real big match performances, and that's good. That is really, really comforting for us fans to be given that glimpse of hope. But now it's about following up on that. Now it is about proving that, okay, that wasn't a one-off. Those were not just games there that we happened to win and happened to make our way through. That was something real. That was something true that we are going to see more and more and more about. So I don't think there's any need here, again, to compare Hansi Flick's Barca and Xavi Hernandez's Barca. I said that when we were doing well. There was no need to sort of slate Xavi, no need to bash Xavi in comparison to Hansi Flick. And right now as well, there's no need to say, oh, well, Flick, he's going to end up the same way as Xavi. We don't need to compare those eras. Let's focus on the now. Let's focus on what we are doing, what we need to improve, what Flick's Barca is capable of, and let's move on, all sticking together. But indeed, guys, there have certainly been plenty more questions about Flick's Barca, about the way that he wants to play at this club and the style of play that we've seen implemented ever since he has arrived. And many, many questions I've had here saying, have teams figured out the way to play against Hansi Flick's Barca? Have his tactics now become so well known, so well publicised that teams now are being able to breach them? They're able to get through Barca's press. They're able to play against that high line. Are the tactics now starting to really hurt Barca. Now, in my opinion, that's a really easy assumption to make. And I would almost say, actually, especially in the media, it's a lazy assumption to make. It's the same people in the media that said, oh, Flick's high line, it won't work against Bayern, it won't work against Real Madrid. These tactics simply won't work against the big teams. And it did. But now they're so quick to sort of point out that, oh look, I knew it would fail. I knew that it wouldn't work. I knew this system was not really going to be successful. They are desperate to jump on the system. But let me just ask you right now, is it a case of the system falling down? Is it a case here of teams being able to play through our tactics? Is it what opponents are doing? Or is it what we are doing? You know, who's responsible right now? Are opponents getting the better of us? Or are we letting them? Because I would look right now, first of all, at that defensive line. For me, in the past few games, it has been a lot less organised there. We've also had to reshuffle things. At times, of course, Balde hasn't been able to play. We haven't always had our select four out there. And I don't think that defensive line has been anywhere near as solid, as watertight. We haven't caught teams offside in the way that we were doing. So is that the system's fault? Or are we simply not playing to the same standard, the same level that we actually were? Because I would also say, and we all know this, the pressing has suffered. We are not pressing anywhere near like we were. We are not applying ourselves in the forward line. We are not working things through midfield. And for that reason, teams will have the ability, they will have the time to play through our team. And that is a disaster for this system. So again, it's not the system's fault that we're not pressing. It's not Flick's tactics' fault that we just aren't pressing in the same way. The issue is that we're not at the same level. Rafinha said it himself. There are things that we're doing not good enough. We are not setting ourselves the same standards that we were. And then you look at the attacking side of our game. Are we creating the same amount of chances? Are we scoring the same amount of goals? Are we being as clinical as we were in front of goal? The answer to all of those questions, it is no. And again, it's not the tactics' fault, is it? That we're not finishing our chances, that we're not creating the same amount that we were. Everything in this system is the same as it was. But the level and the confidence as well, it has dropped. And the main thing now for Hansi Flick is recapturing that fire again, making sure here that the players can raise that level back to where it was, to bring the standards back where they need to be. And he said after the game at the weekend there, I believe in my players. I still have a firm belief in what we're doing. And he also said the players still believe too. They are firmly on board with what we are trying to do here. And that is really, really important, because as long as everybody still has that belief, as long as everybody is still buying into what we're trying to do, I'm sure that we will get there. We will ride out this bad storm. We will make sure that we bounce back. As long as everybody is still waiting and wanting to carry out the orders of Flick, we will get there. It's when you start losing players, when you start losing the belief and the collective effort from the team, that's when you've got a problem. But I do not see that as happening right now. I see everybody still united and ready to take on these challenges, and what you'll get from Flick is nothing. And what I mean by that is, he's not just going to scrap everything. He is not going to be one of those coaches here who tried to do something, who showed something, who gave us that bit of hope, that bit of excitement with the style, but then when things start to go wrong, you know, as you get a run of games here where things haven't worked out, then he throws it all under the bus. Then he says, okay, I can't do this here. I'm going to rip up my plan, my idea, and I'm going to do something completely different. I'm going to go away from my principles. The beauty of Flick, he will never do that. He would rather walk out that door at Barca than abandon what he set out to do. So you're not going to get him here abandoning things after just a few bad games. We are going to go back to the drawing board. We're going to keep the players united, focused, bring their level back up, bring the confidence back to them, and the results and the performances, they will follow. And I think that's the really interesting thing when you start to think here, when you start to look at the possible starting lineup for this game. Because obviously after 3 games without a win in La Liga, a lot of people will be looking here for something drastic, some big change to the lineup there, a big overhaul on what we've been seeing. But again, I just don't know really if the squad has the capabilities, you know, the full squad as a whole, to make widespread changes here in the starting lineup. Because who are the players really who can actually come in and, you know, really provide a big impact here by changing something significant? Because obviously, we spoke yesterday about the goalkeeping situation. I don't feel as though Szczesny will play in this game. You know, we can certainly debate as to whether he should. I believe that he should get an opportunity sooner rather than later. We should definitely try him at some stage. But is it going to be now? Is it going to be in this moment here? There's no suggestion at all in the media that that is going to happen. Ronald Araujo, he can make an impact. He certainly will improve this team and improve the squad and the depth that we have when he comes back. But unfortunately, he is not quite available yet. We know that Frenkie de Jong, he's not ready. There are a few rumours actually coming out in the media this week that he trains, apparently, in the same way that he plays, whereby it's a bit tentative. You know, there's not quite a conviction there to give the absolute 100% level, because either he doesn't quite trust his body at this stage to do that, he's still a little bit fearful following that injury situation, and it is for that reason there that Flick continues to say, okay, he's not there yet. When he is 100%, when he is fully ready, he can come back in, but we're not quite ready to see Frenkie consistently starting matches in the current physical state that he's in. And then you've got Xavi, who certainly when he plays, you notice him. He's certainly somebody that you want in your team, and he's somebody who can add a lot to the squad. But even with him, we're still going slowly. He started out the weekend. We're very fearful right now about starting him 2 games in a row, back-to-back in close proximity. So Xavi probably is not going to be starting in this game. You've got somebody coming back there like Ferran Torres. I mean, is he going to come in and really revolutionise this team? I mean, in all honesty, he's probably not. Pablo Torre, I do like what I'm seeing from him. This is somebody, like I said before, I'd like to see more of Pablo Torre, because I think there's a lot more in there. I think when you watch him play, in the very rare opportunities that he's had, you've got to say, he hasn't had a lot of chances, but when he has, he actually does something. You know, you notice him too. He's somebody who makes himself known. He wants the ball. He makes things happen. He can play in several different areas of the field as well, and I would like to see more of him. He's a player with big potential, and much in the same way as Pau Victor. We spoke about it in yesterday's video. We should be seeing him more. There is absolutely no excuse here as to why he hasn't had more minutes in the team. You know, either out wide, we lack wingers, we lack players there with real genuine pace out wide. Play him, give him an opportunity out there, but also in the number 9 role. If things aren't working out for Robert Lewandowski, or even if he needs a bit of rest in the game, Pau Victor should get an opportunity. He is a talented player, we've seen potential from him, but he has had barely any opportunities to actually show it. But indeed, guys, I think that's why when you do look at the lineup, you know, what are we going to see? It's probably going to be Iñaki Peña in goal. Along the back line, what you'd really hope for here is the best back four. I think this point now, we have to say, right, let's go back to what we were doing. And those players, though, they've got to raise the level. And I'm looking especially at Jules Koundé. He was a player earlier on in the season who was leading that back line. And not only defensively, but going forward, he was so impressive. He was so dominant in that area. Where has that gone? I just want to see Jules Koundé back at his best, or anywhere close to it, because right now, the past few games, he's been so far from what we were seeing earlier in the season. Pau Cubarsí, Inigo Martinez, we know they played a lot of games, but we still need them. We need you to give us something in the centre of the field there to keep that line strong, to catch our opponents offside. Pedri and Casado, I mean, the big thing about this game, Marc Casado's back. That is absolutely huge for us, by the way. Just adding him into the team, it improves our chances massively alone. What he can bring to the midfield, and also what he brings to the whole team. Rafinha is somebody this season who's led the press, who really has led by example, but Marc Casado, he's also done that in midfield there. He raises the level that others must follow, that others must give the kind of effort that they see him giving, so him returning is absolutely huge. And then I think we're going to call on the big guns. I think Lamine Yamal, he's going to come back into the starting lineup. I think Dani Olmo should be ready. And the thing about Olmo right now is, if he's fit, you kind of want to start him. You've got to capitalise on the moments here where he's feeling okay to play. So I would certainly start him down the middle there. Yamal, Olmo, Rafinha, Lewandowski. Let's make sure here that we get the win. Let's make sure here that ahead of really difficult, really tricky away games to come, we start strong. We cannot afford here to drop any more points. You know, we're at that point right now. 3 games without a win is really not good. 4 games is starting to become a disaster. We need to avoid that whole situation. Let's get back on track here. And that is why we have to go strong. And I am going to go here with an important Barca win. I don't think we're going to absolutely destroy Mallorca, because I think they're a good team. I think they're a really solid team. And this will not be easy. But I'm going to go 3-1 Barca. And even that, by the way, would be a big win. They have been a tough team to face this season. We are on a tough run of form. So that 3-1, I would snap your hand off right now for that. I would absolutely gladly accept that result. But guys, What are you feeling right now? What are your predictions coming into this game? What kind of lineup would you like to see? Would you go as strong as you possibly can? Is there anybody from the outside there that you'd include? Is there anybody that could come into that team and really make it better right now and improve our current form? Do let me know in the comments down below, and let me know as well what you made here of a different kind of pre-match video on the channel here today. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you still found it entertaining and hopefully exciting in some ways. But let's hope Barca do the entertaining tomorrow. Let's hope that Barca bring the excitement again. We will all be waiting. And I will see you guys very soon indeed. Thank you indeed here for watching and for all of your support. But until next time, as always, Vejka, Barça.